You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this thing. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The Local Lens, Lawrenceville Unfiltered. My name is Louie Campbell, and you?
Dwayne Volkman.
Chelcie Waterman.
All right, Chelcie, you are somewhat of a Lawrenceville native, as I understand it. Actually, you and I don't know if you remember, I met you in church many years ago. You were a little girl. You're still a little girl from my perspective, but you were. Your mom was giving me the hand signal. You were 3 years old. Mom is off camera, behind the camera, sitting in, eating what looks like a delicious piece of chocolate cake. I'm a little jealous. We went to church together. And so you attended church with my two daughters, Faith and Julia, at the time. So, church is still a real big part of your life, as I understand it.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that.
So I go to First Assembly of God Church.
Bring voice up a little bit. There's a microphone there.
Okay, I go to First Assembly, and it's in Olney, Illinois. And we've gone there for about 4 years. We've gone there for about 4 years now. And it was either 2 years ago, I started going into the ministry with their church on the worship team. And I got involved with the youth group, and now I'm still kind of graduating out of the youth group now, but still a really big part. So church is a really big part of my life.
So the worship team, for those who don't know, tell us what that is.
So the worship team is, we have our instruments, and then we've got our singers, and that's where we go up on stage and we do worship that you'd see at a lot of churches do it, but we've got kind of a more contemporary style of worship. And so we've got our keyboards, our guitars, drums, singers, and so
what do you play?
I play the keyboard, and then I also sing, so I kind of just swap between both. And then right now I'm learning guitar, so that's exciting.
My youngest daughter is self-teaching herself a guitar as well, so that's fun.
Are you teaching yourself, or you have someone?
I have books for guitar, but I have a lot of people who are helping me if I need anything, but it's kind of self-teaching. Now piano and singing, though, my mom taught me, but piano, my worship leader, Robin Goss, taught me everything I know about piano. She's a great teacher.
Well, I remember your mother used to sing at the church we all attended together, and she has a fantastic voice. So,
she still sings. Her voice has only gotten better. We look at recordings from when we were at that church versus now, and it's like, she's really good.
Well, I'll have to come over to Olney sometime and check it out, so I can hear both of you sing.
We would love to see you.
Yeah. So you attended school in Lawrenceville up until 7th grade.
The very end of 7th grade. It was March.
Okay. And your family decided to go the route of homeschooling.
Yes.
So I was not homeschooled. My children are not homeschooled, but I have friends who were homeschooled and do homeschool their children. For example, we were discussing a previous episode where we had Scott and Hannah Durant on the show. And Hannah, I know, was homeschooled. I know her parents. Their parents had 9 children, homeschooled all of them. And Hannah homeschools her children. So I have some, little bit of knowledge about it, but it's still pretty foreign to me. So tell us a little bit about how that's different.
Homeschooling is such a broad perspective, I feel, because you could go the route of online classes where you sign up for a program and then they kind of teach everything that the kid needs to know. But then you could also go the book route, and there's, what's the word I'm looking for? There's other programs that they do books, and then they would teach. And then there's also parents who teach their kids in their style, which they do a lot of homestead things and hands-on. But it's definitely a really big perspective. Like for me, whenever I first went homeschooled in 7th grade, my mom taught me for about a year or two and taught me everything I knew and I needed to know. And then once I was the age to test into Penn Foster, and that's the online program that I used, I basically did that from then on until I graduated.
Now, I've heard of Penn Foster. They're like an online university as well, aren't
Yes,
they?
yes.
Okay, so I could attend classes and get a college degree through them. Okay, all right.
Yep, and I think that's really nice that they do that too, because I don't know much about payments with the schooling, but from everything that I've seen on there, they pretty much advertise themselves as being very affordable for people, and they do work with you. And I like that program specifically because their classes are self-paced. Everything is self-paced, so there's no due dates on anything. It's a lot of reading, but I can go at my own pace. So if I felt that I was doing too much work and I needed to take a step back, then I could take a step back if I wanted to. And I did that a lot. Like, I would do all my work, I would get 2 or 3 classes done, and then I would stop for about a couple weeks, and then I would keep it going because I was moving at such a fast pace. And so there's a class like English, and there's 6 units in English, and in each unit there's about 30-40 lessons. So to complete the class, you have to complete all those units, and I was completing at least 1 class a day, and so it's a lot of reading. It was a lot of work, and then you have to take at least 6 tests, and then at the end you have a unit test. And so with that, it's super easy to get burnt out because it's so much at one time. And if you don't like reading, then it's like, okay, then you are going to get burnt out.
Sure.
But I enjoyed it. I mean, I think I enjoyed it. I think the only downside to homeschooling is if you're very social, which I'm a very social person anyways.
You missed out on some of that.
Yeah, and it is intimidating, especially starting out, because you're like, oh, what about my friends and the people and everybody? But honestly, if you have a good set of friends and they'll still reach out, you'll still be able to talk to them. It's not like you're moving super far away.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes I just think I'm like, I am missing out, but...
Well, my cousin, because I talked to her about that, that was one of the things that I questioned about homeschooling was the lack of social interaction. And she explained that the homeschool association that she belongs to, they have, for lack of better terms, play dates.
Yeah.
Where they arrange situations where multiple students from the homeschool association get together for social interaction, for like theater, and things like that. Was that part of your experience? Or?
I didn't do any of those, but I know Olney's got a couple of those. Lawrenceville doesn't have one.
Okay.
And I mean, I've seen play dates for younger kids. There's even homeschooled proms. There's they do a lot. They really do get together as one big homeschooled group. But we didn't do those just because, like she said, there's not really any in Lawrenceville that we know of. And then Olney's 30 minutes away. And so, I mean...
Were you able to participate, the Durants mentioned that they have a child who wants to participate in public school extracurriculars. Right. Is that something that you can do as being a homeschool student?
Sport-wise, not that I know of. Because I was in basketball, and I remember in the middle school, I was talking to them, and they were saying that once I go homeschooled, you can't do any of the sports.
Have you guys done any research on that? Is that just something that each individual school board decides?
Yeah, it goes by the school.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunate. They should allow that, in my opinion.
But thankfully, they allowed me to do band still, so I stayed in band until either last year or the year before that. And I ended up just leaving because it just got to be too much with graduating and...
my daughter says she has a young man that's homeschooled, and he's in the marching band and such with her as well.
Yep.
And
did you have to get special permission from the school board to do that, or how did that...
No, I had talked to my band director, and I said, hey, I'm going to have to leave because... I'm going homeschooled, and she's like, actually, no, you can, our school allows you to do it.
That's good.
And so that's the only person I really talked to, so I don't know much about that, but...
that's interesting that they allow that, but not
you have to
sports.
you do have to get a physical.
The parent has to go in and sign. So you have to have a physical in the school system every year that you are part of the school. It's just a liability.
Okay.
I wonder why they allow that, but not,
Sports, because of the insurance purposes.
Okay, sports. So microphones are up here, so I'll repeat. Her mother is stating that due to insurance purposes is the reason the sports aren't allowed.
right, but they could get around that. They could make arrangements for that.
They can.
They could, yeah. I think it's school board by school board. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a topic for another day possibly.
Yeah.
There's
but-
a lot of
Yeah.
that. I was
But-
not happy about it.
I'm really glad that they allowed you to continue in the music because personally,
Yes.
my opinion about music is it is so important for a developing brain for not just artistic reasons, but music and mathematics are so tightly intertwined. And people who are good at music are also typically good. Music, mathematics, and language utilize the same areas of the brain from what I've
Right.
been told. And what two more important things are you going to learn to succeed in this world than mathematics and communication? So I'm glad they allowed you to continue in
Yeah.
music, and obviously music has been an important.
Yes, it has. Ever since I was little, music has always been a huge part of my life. I mean, growing up with a mom who sings, it's gonna be a given.
Yeah.
But no, I remember when I was younger, I really wanted to play piano, but I wasn't able to get a piano. And so I'm really, really grateful that I had that opportunity and to have such a wonderful teacher, because that has opened doors a lot for me as well. And as I've gotten older, my passion for music has just grown and grown and grown, because it's just such an important part in my life and other people's life.
Do you have a keyboard?
I
No?
do, yes.
What do you have?
I have it's a Yamaha. I don't know the exact model of it, but it's a full-sized keyboard.
Full-size keyboard, nice.
And it's weighted, and it was actually a gift from...
So it feels like real keys.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's nice.
And it was a gift to me, and I was so grateful, because my previous keyboard was a half-sized, and it wasn't weighted keys. So I was very limited to what I could do, but I was like, hey, I'm going to make the most of it, because it's still a keyboard, and I could still learn. And so it's great if you're learning the basics. I mean, I think learning on a weighted keyboard is better. That way you know, like, how hard to play. And then I got gifted this new one, and I was just...
Your other one was gifted too.
Yeah.
All her keyboards have been gifted to her.
And it was just... I was so excited. I was like, you're giving it to me? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. Like, what did I even do?
What about your guitar? What do you play?
It is... Oh, I can't remember the name of it.
Now, Chelcie, a real guitarist knows their guitar like it's their best friend. This is what my daughter tells me.
I just started. I got the guitar for Christmas.
Oh, great.
And I know what it looks like. I mean, it's an acoustic electric.
Okay, nice.
And it's like a charcoal black color, and it's got a turquoise circle. Oh, it's so pretty. But I can't remember the name.
What's more important than the name and the model is the way you can make it sound.
Oh, so...
So you're working on that, though,
About
right?
that one, yeah.
About that one.
Oh, goodness.
I promise you won't make it sound worse than me. And,
I was playing it whenever I first got it. I remember I stayed up the night that I got it. After all my family had left, I went to my bathroom and sat in front of the dryer, because I've got two siblings living in the house with me, and then my mom and my stepdad, and so everybody's asleep because it's like 2 a.m. And I'm like, oh, what's a place I could play? So I go up there, I sit in front of my dryer. I turned the dryer on, and it did have clothes in it, but I turned the dryer back on, and I just sat there and played the strings and learned the notes, and then I played Yankee Doodle.
yeah.
And so then, from then on, I have played almost just about every day. I think this last week was the first week that I didn't play every single day. And so then I started working on chord changes, and I learned like the basic chords: G, E, A, F. No, not F. C, just a ton of chords. And so then I was actually able to start playing songs because the rhythm comes easy to me. That part's easy. But it was just the notes and where to put my fingers at and those kinds of things. And so then once I learned all that, I started playing some songs. And so now I'm learning the more tricky chords.
And all self-taught, huh?
Yes.
It's all tricky to me.
That's impressive.
So I have, full disclosure, I have several recording artists in my family. On my dad's side and my mom's side, I'm related to the Ashes, which they're all ridiculously talented. I am. I really am. Yeah. And they're all just crazy talented. I have a cousin on my mom's side who's like a honky tonk type. You know, he's a recording artist. He publishes under the name Nick Cross. Very talented guy. Does some great music. And he grew up in Lawrenceville. You know, and of course my aunt was a musician, singer-songwriter. She just passed away a year ago this March, and she was crazy talented. She done a bunch of movies and stuff. She worked on movies with people like Travis Tritt, Randy Travis, Kenny Rogers, and my cousin was actually had a walk-on part on a movie called Rio Diablo, and in Rio Diablo, his part was to walk a dog across the street. Kenny Rogers always referred to him as Dog Boy. Okay, because he was Dog Boy. He was the boy that walked the dog across the street, right? Well, years later, he was in the Navy, and he was in Norfolk, Virginia, and some of his shipmates invited him, say, "Hey, Ingram, we got tickets to a Kenny Rogers concert. You want to go with us?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, me and Kenny go way back." And they're like, "Whatever." So he tries to go backstage, and the story he tells is, you know, the typical, "You're not getting back here, guy. You know, go tell Kenny that Dog Boy's here." So the guy radioed back, you know, that Dog Boy's there. Moments later, someone come up and ushered my cousin and his friends all backstage to hang out with Kenny Rogers.
Wow.
Because he remembered Dog Boy from the movie Rio Diablo. But the point is, recording artists on both sides of my family, so music runs in my family too. It gets to me and it runs that way. So, but I can play a mean MP3 player. It did skip a generation with me and my daughter. She's a wonderful singer. Both my daughters, I have 5 girls, okay, but my 2 younger ones, they would sing in the car and always so nasal, you know. I'm like, stop doing that. Stop trying to sing like the person on the radio and sing with your voice. And then one day, I was bringing my daughter home. I had my mother sitting in the passenger seat, my daughter in the back, my youngest daughter, Julia. And I think a Miley Cyrus song we were playing, Climb. Love that song. And it came on, and this amazingly strong voice from the back seat came up. I'm like,
Where did that come
Where did that come from? When did you learn how to sing? That's and she has this wonderfully powerful voice, you know. And she's gonna hate me for saying this on camera, but she's so talented. I love her so much.
Yeah, whenever I was younger, my mom she was trying to teach me how to sing, and this is so funny because this is like a core memory for me. So I would sing, and I was about 7 or 8 at the time. And I would sing super nasally, and so she would hold my nose, and she would go, "Okay, now sing," and then I'd be able to do it, and she's like, "Now you need to just sing like that normally," and I was like, "Okay," and so anytime I would start singing, and she'd hear me singing nasally, she'd just pluck
pinch your nose. There you go. Good job, Mom. it apparently worked because I hear you're good.
It definitely works. Well. Yeah, it definitely works. Yeah. Now,
your mother. Now, of course, this is a mother who loves her daughter, but she's told me you're a good singer.
I think I'm okay.
Okay. So you're good and modest. Okay.
Yeah.
Keep it humble.
And intelligent too. We had a Christmas party with some friends.
Yes.
And that's where you and I got reacquainted. Ever since you were this tall to now this tall, and I was just blown away about how dynamic and intelligent you are. I was like, I remember sitting across from you, and after just a couple minutes of hearing you talk, I go, "What do you want to do with your life?" Because I was just blown away by you. I was like thinking this girl is like, she's a future lawyer or a doctor or a congressperson or something. I'm standing in front of, this may be the first woman president of the United States. I have no idea, but, and then you tell me you want to do something way more important than any of those things.
I want to be a teacher, but I also want to stay in the ministry, which I was like, hey, I can do both. Mm-hmm. So this next August, I am starting at Lincoln Trail College, and I'm gonna go. This will be my first year, and I'm going to get all my classes done, and I think it's 2 years, and I'm going for elementary education, and then I'm going to go back to this Christian college that's up in Chicago once I'm older, because Chicago is a really big city, and I'm going to go back up there once I'm older, and I'm going to go for worship ministry. That way I can keep it in my life, because that's still a really big role. And I had talked to my mom a lot about what I want to do with my life, and I was saying I want to be a teacher. Like, I've always had that passion to teach, but I also really want to stay with the ministry, because in my family, we're really big on, if you're not doing your ministry, what are you doing? And
that's good.
So my mom was like, we just keep, just remember what God's plan for you is and what your ministry is meant to be. And I strongly believe that it's music. And that's been through, for the past couple of years, I've just really been battling back and forth of, well, what makes the most money? What's the best option here? And I was like, but what I really love to teach. I mean, whenever I was younger, I used to, I have 2 younger siblings, and my younger sister is 13, and my younger brother is 11. And before they started school, I was teaching them, like helping them teach their ABCs and their accounting and math, and they'd come home, we'd play school all the time. And so ever since I was younger, I've just loved to teach. It's always been there. But the music has also always been there, and so I was like, can I do both? Like, I remember asking my mom, she's like, yeah, absolutely, you can do both. And so I was like, okay, I'll do both.
So have you considered tutoring or teaching people the keyboard as a source of income, possibly?
I have thought about that. That's still an option in my mind, but I am really excited about the thought of teaching elementary. And
I mean, just in the meantime, while you're going
right.
to school, just to share your talents with people.
Right. And I haven't taught, not as a source of income. I'm teaching my mom the piano and helping her with the guitar.
Is she paying you for this?
No. She doesn't need to pay me.
In real life.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, no, she's not paying me. And I'm teaching her.
She lets you live with her still, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so there.
She gives me food.
Good trade-off.
Yeah, she gives me food and shelter.
That's important.
And so.
I noticed that she didn't share any of that chocolate cake.
No.
I got some right here.
No.
I still have half of it over here.
So she is saving it for you.
Well, yeah, but I am teaching her some of that. I helped a little bit with some younger kids with keyboard. I've helped teach some of my siblings, but they don't really find piano very interesting. So,
I find it so hard to teach, and it's another reason that I would fail at homeschooling myself, is that I taught martial arts, and my children wanted to learn, and that lasted all of 2 lessons. And it reminds me of in the Bible where it says that no man is a prophet in his own land. Your own tight circle typically doesn't recognize your authority or your expertise in something. But a total stranger in my class would, stand at attention, bow, yes sir, thank you sir, no sir.
Right. My siblings definitely listen to me. I mean, there's a lot of family history there with that. I mean, I think I played a big role in their life too. Like, my mom used to work a lot, and so did my dad, but there was a lot of history there, and at the times that my parents weren't there, I helped a ton with my siblings. And so now they're just kind of like, we're going to listen to her because they always have. And so, but with music, they're like, no, I don't really care what you have to say. And so I'm like, well, that's okay. You know, it's not for everybody. But I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, my brother and I, we helped tutor this one kid. I forget his name, but we helped tutor him with his math homework, and I helped with the English homework because math is not my strong suit at all. But English is my strong suit. And so we helped him with that, and then just anybody who reaches out who needs help with anything, it's kind of a given. I'm not going to turn them down.
Sure.
But
it's a great way to make a little extra pocket money when you're going to college, though.
Yeah.
Helping kids who are going to school that struggle with an area that you happen to be strong with, so I got paid for tutoring him, but usually whenever somebody asks me for help, I don't bring up money because I'm just kind. Okay, yeah, like I'll help you, like I don't. And then they're like, "Oh, let me pay you." No. Like,
not everything.
That's your heart. That's your heart.
Right,
that's
but
your
don't
heart
be afraid
speaking.
to accept that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Yeah, I think it's really good to want to help people, but doctors help people, and they want to pay the mortgage.
Make a living.
right.
So don't shortchange yourself if you've got the gifts between the ears to be able to help them. God has equipped you to be able to help them, and maybe that's a way to bless your pocketbook with the blessings that you've been given intellectually.
Right.
So, but obviously, if someone is in a situation where they need your help, but they don't have the means to pay you, then by all means let your heart lead you, and that would be what I would suggest.
My mom has. I mean, I remember I used to babysit a lot for other people's kids too, and I would bring up money with my mom, and I'm like, I don't know how much to charge them. And she's like, just don't say anything, and let them come up with something. And I was like, okay. And if they didn't pay me, being 13 or 14, I'd go to my mom and I was like, oh, they didn't pay me. And she's like, well, it's okay because God will bless you in other ways besides money. I was like, okay. And so now that I'm 17, which isn't that huge of a jump, but it has helped a lot because money is definitely not my main focus on really anything. I mean, because if anybody needs help with anything, I'll just say, don't worry about paying me. I mean, and yeah, because God will bless me in other ways than money.
I think you'll find that you're going to do all right in life. Money is, it's obviously necessary in this world.
Right.
But if you make it your focus, you're always going to chase it, and no matter how much of it you catch, it's never going to be enough because you're chasing it still.
Right.
So you can find yourself one day being very successful, and you wake up and you're like, well, I'm very successful, and I wasn't chasing money, I was chasing a passion instead. So
success is measured in different ways.
Absolutely,
right?
100%.
It's not just monetary.
It's not just money.
The way that I've taught her is, as long as you're doing what God has called you to do, God will always provide.
Right.
100%.
It doesn't. He'll give you what you need. Maybe not what you want, but He'll give you what you need.
I agree with that. I always notice that I work in commission sales most of my adult life, and the times that I chased the money, it always seemed to elude me. But the times that I chased, like for example, I sell cars now, so when I chase providing a solution to my customers' needs, the money always ends up being there.
Right.
So,
right.
And that's what you do. I mean, if I go into a car sales situation, for example, and I focus 100% on I'm going to sell them the car that makes me the most money possible, I'm probably going to lose that deal.
Right.
But if I focus on getting them the solution that suits their needs, maybe helps them, they're in maybe a bad credit situation, whatever, I help them advance forward in life. Then the money takes care of itself. So Yeah, I think that's more important than. Again, I sold Kirby vacuums for over 6 years, and I was very good at it. Yeah, I was very good at it, but there were times whenever I was chasing the money that it seemed like I couldn't give those things away. But the times where my pocket was overflowing with cash, it's like I couldn't miss. If every time I showed it, they just said, "Yeah, we'll buy it." You know, because I wasn't focused on I need money.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so I believe I believe as Paul says that we should pray unceasingly, right? So, and to me that is interpreted as every thought is a prayer. And when you're putting out thoughts of I need, you're just asking for more situations to arise where you need
Right.
and need and need instead of I have. It's huge change in paradigm and perspective between those two. So, so funny story. I run a printing and graphics business, and I have customers all over North America, and primarily with the Kirby Vacuum Company. A lot of their distributors purchase their printing, their posters, their banners, and all that from me. And I had a divisional supervisor. When I left the Kirby business, I reached out to everybody I could find on Facebook who was associated with them, and I ran across a guy out of Katy, Texas, and he said he was with Kirby. I was like, "Great, what's your position?" And he just put DS. When I knew what that meant, he was a divisional supervisor. Well, a divisional supervisor is over multiple factory distributor offices to supervise them for their success, and they have to host sales rallies and all that stuff, and they purchase a lot of graphics. Okay, and I ended up becoming the Tylenol to all of his printing headaches. So a couple years go by, and I was in a situation where I was desperately needing money. I was driving to my sister's house on fumes, really didn't have a lot of gas in my car, and I was starting to stress out and really starting to panic about money. And then I said out loud, and this isn't verbatim, just paraphrasing, "Stop worrying, you dummy. God always takes care of you." And I'm telling you, Chelcie, in less than 5 seconds of me uttering that, my phone rang. And it was my friend, Daniel, from the Kirby Company, telling me, "Hey, what did I order last May? Do you remember?" I was like, I don't remember. I'm driving right now." He goes, "Well, my territory just doubled, so I need twice as much for the upcoming sales rally." I was like, "That's great. I tell you what, I normally do all his designs. It's like a 2-week process. Then I bill him after the designs are done, and then he pays me." I was like, "If you'll pay me in advance, I'll give you a little discount." And I had a giant order that he paid for that night that took care of me and solved all of my immediate financial needs. And it was all. And I honestly 100% believe if I hadn't uttered that phrase, to "Stop worrying, you dummy. God always takes care of you," and showed that belief and that faith, I don't think my phone would ring.
Yeah, my grandparents' church, I had gone to their church a couple times whenever I was visiting, and the pastor had said something that I use almost every day now, is that stress and worrying about the problem just takes your eyes off of the solution. And I stress out easy about things, and so that is definitely a really big part of my life, because I'm like, I just need to stop stressing about it, because stressing about it does nothing, and worrying about it does nothing. And so, you know, just praying a lot about every problem, and even praying whenever you don't have a problem, is how I interpret the to pray without ceasing. It's not like in a literal sense, you know, you're just constantly praying, but it's like you pray in the good times, you pray in the bad times, and whenever you have nothing to, I don't want to say complain, but you have nothing to say to God that you feel that you're like, that's heavy on your heart, you know, you just be thankful. You just pray about what you're thankful for, and it, you know, there's always something to pray about. There's always something.
I agree. You know, it's like the old phrase, and I'm paraphrasing, but there are no atheists in a foxhole. That's so. In old war times, they would dig these trenches, foxholes, okay, and when there's gunfire going overhead. Basically, there's no atheist in a foxhole because everybody there is praying, please God, don't let me die. But I believe that, first of all, no matter when in your life you start praying, it's a good thing. Okay, so don't get me wrong with what I'm going to say. But if you're not willing to praise Him in the good times and pray during the good times, then what makes you deserve to reach out to Him in the bad times, other than the fact that He extends that lifeline?
Right.
So.
Yeah, me and my brother were on the phone last night, and we actually had a conversation with someone who isn't a believer, and was just like, well, you know, what's the point? Because I sin. We know you sin. Like, you can't say that you're so Christian and all this. And it was a really good conversation, and it definitely challenged my viewpoint and his viewpoint. But one of the biggest things we were saying was that, yeah, you should pray in the good times and the bad times, but if you just start praying in the bad times, you know, that's kind of a door opening, because there are a lot of people who are like, the first time I prayed was when I was in trouble. I mean, that's an automatic, because you don't really think to thank God for everything He's done if you're not really a believer, but if you're going through a bad time or a rough time, you're like, God, like, I need you. And so we talked about that, and I had said that, you know, it's really good when you start praying. Any time is good. But one of the things we had talked about was whenever he was saying, you know, we can't claim to be good, and I said, well, I never claimed that. I know I'm a sinner. Like, He knows He's a sinner, but one thing is that, you know, Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and because of that, then we can ask for forgiveness and we can repent. But if you're repenting with the perspective of, I'm just going to ask for forgiveness, but I'm going to keep doing it, that's not what repentance is. It's just, you know, stopping. And
you know what the word repent, from what my aunt, who was very, very scholarly about the Bible, repent doesn't mean to say, you know, Lord, forgive me.
Right.
Repent means to turn away from.
Right.
So to repent your sin is to turn away from your sin and walk a different direction.
Right. So if you're saying that I'm repenting, but you're still, you know, sitting in the sin, then it's not really repenting. But yeah, with His mercy, and He gives us forgiveness because of what Jesus did. So whenever you do pray, it's like, yeah, you can ask for forgiveness, but if you're sitting in that sin, then it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah, I tell my children when they were little, when they would do something wrong, I'm sorry, Daddy, I'm sorry. I was like, your best apology is a change in behavior.
Right.
And that's the truest apology, is a change in your behavior. And that's real repentance, because you change your behavior, you change your direction, you turned away from what you were doing, you know, you put away those childish things.
Right. I recently just got done with studying the book of Proverbs, which is an amazing book, and it talks a lot about wisdom. And one of the chapters, I cannot remember which one, but one of the chapters was talking about your words. And I do believe that your words are powerful, like what you speak. Because if you're sitting in a mindset of, for example, if someone says, oh, I'm going to have a bad day. Yeah, you're going to have a bad day because you are speaking that into existence. And, you know, now you're going to have a bad day because that's your mindset. And
power
that's
to bless or to curse, less rest in the tongue, yeah.
And so I think about what I say a lot. And one thing was whenever I apologize, I say I apologize a lot. That's just me, you know, wording it, because, and then of course I apologize for what I did, and I'm like, I won't do it again. I'm sorry, because I used to just say, you know, I'm sorry, but to me it's almost like it's a deeper level of apologizing to someone. If you say, I apologize for hurting your feelings, and I am sorry, and I won't do that again, and
it's a stronger word.
Right, and and whenever you apologize for what you do and you make that known, that's kind of I feel like for the other person, it's almost a, you know, I know you're realizing what you've done is wrong. Instead of just, I'm sorry you feel that way, or I'm sorry because I'm sorry that I got in trouble, but I'm not sorry for what I did.
Yeah.
And so there's a huge
Right.
difference between that. And that was one thing growing up, was that I was always taught. Like, my mom has
Yeah.
always taught me and my siblings, you know, if you're apologizing, you need to tell the person what you're apologizing for, and that you're not sorry for the consequence. You're not sorry that you got caught. You're sorry that you messed up, you know?
Mhm.
And, yeah, that's... I do believe that that's really... There's a big difference between
A lot of
just-
wisdom in that.
Yeah, more wisdom than most adults have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you're starting college in August,
Yes.
and that's a full 4 months before you turn 18 years old.
Yes.
So you are currently 17 years old. You graduated from high school at what age?
16.
At 16 years old.
Yeah.
16 years. Wow. I mean, that's very impressive.
Thank you.
So
I definitely could not have done it without my mom.
your mom's a pretty awesome lady.
Yes.
So, and I don't know if I've said this or not, she's also a really good singer.
Yeah.
I used to love hearing her sing at church, so I definitely do need to get over to Olney and attend church with you guys so I can hear her sing again. That would be great. Yeah. So you plan on staying in Lawrenceville, or?
No, I don't plan on staying here. This is not where I want to be, you know, permanently. But I don't want to go, you know, part of me wants to go super far. I would love to live in Colorado. Like, that's always where I've been, like, I really want to live there. But then another part of me wants to be up by my family, which they all live up north, like, over by Chicago. And
Your mom still sounds like she's from Chicago. She has that Chicago accent. a little
well,
bit.
what's funny is if you were to go up there, they actually laugh at her because her sisters laugh at her because she sounds Southern.
Sounds like a hillbilly now.
And they're like, we had to explain to my aunt that, because she said, "Oh, God bless you," and we were like, "Ooh, that's not, you know, what you think it means."
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, bless your heart.
That's
Yeah.
one. Bless your heart.
She goes, "What? I just say that," and I was telling my mom, I was like, she thinks that means a good thing.
Well,
She was
we have a girl that works in marketing at our dealership, and she does a wonderful job. Her name is Vanna. She's the biggest Dolly Parton fan that has ever lived. Okay, and I'll tease Vanna all the time, and she'll say, "Oh, bless your heart," and I'll just stop and go, "Listen, I know what that means."
Yeah. And
I didn't know what it meant for years.
Yeah, it's just
And
not a good
people
thing.
would say, "Oh, bless your heart," and I was like, "Oh, thank you." And yeah, I just found out when it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and so we told her, and she's like, "What? No, I've been saying that to everybody."
It can mean different things. It really is
Right.
the tone in which
Some
it's used.
people are genuine.
The
Some people are
context.
genuine. But if you say something and you're like, "Ooh, that didn't like that sounded a little idiotic," and then they say, "Oh, bless your heart," then you're like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so you think I'm done."
Yeah,
Like,
I feel sorry that you have, you know, 2 brain cells that are competing for 3rd place.
right.
Well, when I grew up with a lady, the pastor's wife, and I was maybe 13 or 14, and I was up north, and she was from Tennessee. She just walked by me and just, "Oh, bless your heart," and I'm like, "Well, thanks, Miss Judy."
Which just made it even better.
Like, she's just blessing me, thanks. And no, it was something different. But
It meant something different, yes.
Yep. So that's always funny, but I really love being up north. Every single time we go visit my aunts, I just miss it. And there's
Are they close to the city?
30 minutes outside.
yeah.
Okay, what suburb are they in? Or
We're in Northwest Indiana,
northwest, like
like Hammond
Hammond.
area.
My mom was born in Hammond, Indiana.
My sister lives in
Yeah.
Chesterton. My other sister lives further than that now, but there's Nun Lake Station, Woodward area. So
Okay,
yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, so every time we go up and we come back down here, I'm just like, oh, I miss my family. And I also love the snow. Like, that's
So that
my
explains
favorite.
Colorado.
So and we don't really, I mean, we did get snow, but when I say
This isn't snow.
right,
No.
when I say I want snow, I want the big fluffy white snow.
This is a tease.
Yeah, yep. And then it turns brown really fast.
You know, I have a friend who lived in Grand Rapids, and I was on the phone with him a few years ago. We had gotten 9 inches of snow 2 days in a row, and it had piled up against my front door and my back door, so that I couldn't physically push my doors open. My cousin had to come and shovel the snow away from my front door so I could get out of my house. And I was talking to my friends like, yeah, we've had 18 inches of snow in the last 48 hours, and people are freaking out. He goes, that's funny, bro. There's over 3 feet of snow in my front yard right now, and it's nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I have a friend who used to work at the dealership with me, and he grew up in Wisconsin, or I think it's Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So up in Wisconsin, don't you know? And he said that whenever he was learning how to drive, it was impossible to run off the road because there was a wall of snow on this side and a wall of snow on this side.
Yeah.
You just drove down the middle. So
Like a bumper.
yeah,
Well,
it was like playing like the bumpers on
Right.
bowling. Yeah.
now don't get me wrong. There's so many pros and cons to every city, but down here, it's like the small town. I do like the small town. I like that we have, like businesses support other businesses. The community supports each other.
Yes.
That's what I love. However, I think it's really hard to kind of get out of the box of small towns, because once you have a reputation in a small town, which I don't think I have a bad reputation at all, but once you have a specific reputation, that's almost like how people always see you. So
It's true.
right, and so
I know that
especially
personally.
in a small town, and so I just think that there's so much of the world to see. Like, I want to travel, but I think that there's too much world to see to be in a small town, never seeing anything.
And the thing about being in a small town is, you know, we all screw up.
Right.
We're all a bunch of sinful meat sacks that don't deserve anything except eternity and damnation, right? But when you're young, you mess up.
Right.
And boy, did I mess up as a youth as well. In my 20s especially.
You were nothing like Chelcie, were you?
No. I was very intelligent. I won't discount myself there. I
was talking about your behavior.
Very
not
smart guy, but
necessarily
my behavior was in my 20s. I was not the kind of person who the guy I am now would hang out with.
Right.
And I wouldn't look down on someone because of what they do in life, but I wouldn't have hung out with that guy.
Well, it's like
And that follows me.
You're so smart, you can either be a lawyer or a criminal.
Yeah.
And it was one of
Right.
those. And that does deal with a lot of.
And I've always been entrepreneurial, and I've been in several failed businesses. People don't realize, you know, Colonel Sanders failed in every business he had until he finally got his chicken recipe. You know, Sam Walton failed so many times, and then he started Walmart, and you know, his family is still one of the richest families in the world.
Right.
You know,
I don't think you can really succeed without failing.
Yeah, if you want
that means you're not trying.
The only way to double the rate of success is to double your rate of failure.
Right.
And you know, there's so many stories like that. Walt Disney, you know, failed so many times. I mean, there was a guy who failed and lost every single election he was ever in, and then he was the 16th president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. You know, I think that was was that the first election he ever won? Was when he ran for president, I think. But you know, people fail a lot, and that surely happened to me. And man, in a small town, it does follow you. I still have people. I'm not going to delve into the politics world, but I ran for a political office and I lost, and I had people reaching out to me like accusing me of being a child molester. My dad was convicted of that. And I am Charles Campbell Jr. I grew up as little Louie.
Right.
And they just assumed that I was the same person, you know.
Right.
So those things follow you in a small town.
Right. And I know that I'm only 17. I haven't really lived much. But I know that I have been hurt before, and I've definitely hurt people before. And so I've tried to reach out to a lot of people and apologize.
That's
but
good.
it's hard. It's really hard to reach out to, you know, everybody, especially because there's some people that you don't even know if what you said affected them, and they could be like, you know, I don't like this person. And I think that's why perspectives really matter, because what someone could say about you, another person could say a completely opposite thing just based on the interaction. So that's why I think about that a lot. I try to be kind to everybody. I mean, I don't try to, treat people differently, but it is hard. I mean, I do fall short, and
we all do.
Right, and so I think it's cool, and it's also not great that everybody sees a different perspective, and so that is something that just kind of stays in the back of my mind. So I'm like, okay, just remember, and especially if someone comes up to me and they're like, I don't like this person because of this, and I'm like, okay. And sometimes, I mean, like, even my friends, sometimes they've said that they don't like this person. I'm like, well, why don't you like this person? And they're like, just because I've heard this. And I was like, but do you know that happened?
Right.
And they're like, well, and I'm like, okay, but do you know 100%? Like,
right.
Exactly. They're like, no, I've been told. And I said, but you don't know if that actually happened then. And that person could be completely oblivious to a rumor. And I think that's why it's so important to, if you're having an issue with somebody, to go to them specifically and be like, hey, I have a problem. You hurt my feelings. You did this. And, it hurt me. And I think that's really important because that's how rumors don't get spread.
Yeah.
I mean...
And sometimes there may be a little bit of truth to that thing that the other person heard,
right.
But they don't know the circumstances.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So many times people, especially in a small town like you notice, they are tagged with a reputation that's not totally accurate,
right.
Not fair, or even if it is accurate, they're not given an opportunity to show people that they've changed.
And
right.
we all grow.
Right. And that's unfortunate because that does stick with people.
We live in a world also where everything is a seed of divisiveness, and people don't understand that it's all about perspective. I could stand across from you and draw a number on the ground. From my perspective, it's a 6. From your perspective, it's a 9. We can either sit there and argue that it's a 6 or it's a 9, or we can understand that we're both looking at the exact same
right.
thing from a totally different point of view.
Right, and that's what, and that's one thing that I've thought a lot about too, because thankfully my mom has always been one of those moms who's been like, you don't know what they're going through, and hurt people. And so...
Say that again.
Hurt people.
Yes.
And
I love that phrase.
That's one thing that, I have come to understand is I don't know the person to the fullest, where I don't know their home life. I don't know what they're going through. And is that an excuse at most times? No. I still, you shouldn't hurt people. But I think once you can get the understanding of why someone does what they do, then it's less anger. So if someone is rude to me, especially working in customer service, it's one interaction out of the day. I mean, there have been times where someone has come up to me and they're very abrasive, they're very rude. I'm like, how are you? And I compliment them or something, and their whole mood switches, and they're like, just having a rough day. And I'm like, you see, like, there's so many people who it's just one interaction, and I don't think it's fair to judge someone as a whole based on one singular interaction that you've had with them. And so I have, whenever I talk to people, I'm like, I get that understanding, and now I've come to terms with, if someone is rude to me or if someone hurts me, I genuinely, and I mean this, like, there's 100% truth behind this, that I'm not angry at what someone says to me if they've hurt me. Because in the moment, I might be. I'm like, oh, what they said was rude and hurtful, and I am hurt and I am angry by it. Why would they say that? But then over time, we shouldn't hold grudges. And in my opinion, once I look at it, I'm like, okay, they could have been having a bad day. What their home life could be bad. Like, I don't know. And because I don't know that, I'm like, well, I can't be angry at them because they could have a reason.
Sure.
And I feel like once you understand, that hurt people, and you start to understand other people's perspectives on how or why they could have done that, then it's like, it's hard to be angry about it, because you're just like, oh, then you end up feeling sorry. You're like, oh.
Yeah, I think there's some wisdom in that, but I think it's also important to to put some thought into, or you got to protect your own peace too.
Right.
Like if someone punches me in the face, you know, and I think, okay, well, he's having a bad day. That doesn't mean I'm going to let him punch me in the face a second time.
Right. That's what I mean by.
And I know the Bible says to offer up the other cheek, but
right.
I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably going to stop them from punching me the second time.
Right, and that's what I mean by when I say, you know, like bullying, because that's a huge thing. There's no excuse. Like, you shouldn't do that. Like, I mean, even if you are hurt, there's no excuse. And, you know, you should get in trouble. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, yeah, you have every right to be angry. You do. But in my personal opinion, with myself, I just don't hang on to that anger. And
there's such a thing as righteous anger, too.
Right.
And misdirected anger, which is important.
Like, I see...
that's what bullies do, I think, is they're angry. So I grew up in a home that was kind of violent. My dad was an aggressive, violent individual, and it's very easy to take that anger toward what I was going through and misdirect it. And I don't think I was a bully in high school. I actually tried to defend people from bullies in high school, but I can see other kids who've gone through situations like that, and they misdirect that anger toward the weaker kids in school, and they become bullies.
Right.
So I think that's the genesis of most bullying is a person who's gone through negative things, and they don't know how to
hurt people.
They don't have an outlet that's healthy, so they take it out on this weak person that I can dominate.
Right.
You know?
And one thing I've learned a lot, which I do still struggle with this, is if someone is, you know, having a rough time and they're being rude to you, you should ask them, like, can I pray with you? Is there anything, you know, like, how are you? And especially because, you know, it kind of just goes from interaction to interaction. And you can kind of tell based on, because, like, if someone comes up to me, they're being really rude to me, but they look upset, they look flustered. I'm like, what's wrong? Like, how are you? Is there anything I can do to help? And I think it's really, really hard. Like, don't get me wrong, it is so hard to not react back and be rude back. Like, that's one of the hardest things. And especially being sarcastic. I mean, it's really hard. But I think once I started to calm down and just, you know, think about maybe they're going through something, it helps a lot to not be angry. But I still don't think that it's an excuse. Like, I'm still going to be like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. But I understand why you did that. You know? But my biggest thing is I don't like to be angry about things. I mean,
you brought up that you work in customer service.
I just want to mention this too.
Sure.
You mentioned earlier righteous indignation. You know, that is an anger that a person can use to try to change the behavior.
Sure.
Right.
I mean,
there's
Jesus whipped people and chased them out of the temple.
Right.
Exactly.
There's things.
Yeah. There are sometimes.
Right.
There are occasions where people's behavior needs to be pointed out and an attempt to
corrected.
Adjust it somehow.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I definitely think with anger, I mean, like, there's things that I'll see online, which online it's bad with misinformation.
It's a cesspool of...
But I'll see things, or I'll see someone doing something to someone else, or someone said something to someone else, and do I get angry at those things? Yeah, especially the injustices, and I'm like, that wasn't right. That, like, there was no reason. And that's the anger, and I think going back to perspective, it's all about perspective, because if you're angry and you're like, well, I just want to get back at them, that's an unrighteous anger. But if I'm saying I'm angry and I want to change this, let's find a better solution, let's change how we think, let's change how we're acting, that's more along the lines of a righteous anger.
Very well put.
You've grown up in a time where everybody's online.
Yeah.
And it is so easy, and I find myself at not so much anymore, but I have found myself in the past saying things to people online that I would have never said to their face. And it's not because there's two reasons people do that. Either A, because it's really easy to say something to somebody when they're not close enough to punch you in the face. I'm not scared of somebody punching me in the face. I don't want to be punched in the face.
This is a preface. I'm not asking to be punched in the face.
I do not want to be punched. I can defend myself, so it's not out of fear of, okay, they'd punch me in the face, but if I was face to face with them and could see the hurt in their face after the words that came out of my mouth, I wouldn't have said the same thing.
Right.
And I think those are the two reasons that people get so brave. We have this phrase, keyboard warrior. People that when they sit behind the safety of a keyboard, they're an absolute warrior.
Right.
They can say mean things, horrible things. That's why I think social media is a cesspool of anger and unkindness. If you're face to face with that person and you're any kind of human being at all and you can see the hurt in their eyes, you're probably going to temper your words.
Right.
Or if you're 5'5", 120 pounds and can't tear your way out of a wet paper sack, you're probably not going to say something to somebody that's going to get you punched in the mouth.
Right. And also I think it's so easy to say hateful things online as well, because in person, if they're telling you the full story, because if someone lashes out at you online versus in like reality, in reality, if you know the full story, and the person's more likely to tell you this is what happened, and then you're like, oh, okay, like usually people would be like, okay, yeah, that's the full story, so I have no reason. But online, like even I have had trouble with, I'd see a post, I'm like, I want to get angry at this post, and I want to comment on it and say, like, what the heck are you doing, and get mad. But then I have to stop myself, and I'm like, ooh, this is just a 10-second clip. I have no clue what the reality of this is.
Most 17-year-olds don't have that wisdom.
Right.
And it's just, I do think it is
most adults don't have that wisdom.
Most
I see it a lot on, I had a news article on my news page, and people have been going nuts, insulting one another in the comments, and I'm like, wow, it's really bad. So, well, anyway, I do want to ask you one thing. You mentioned customer service. You wait tables at a local restaurant.
Yes, I serve at Off the Square on Saturdays, but normally I'm there on some weekdays, and I'm helping out, but I'm just kind of all over the place. I do a lot of things. I mean, like, some nights I'm hostess, some nights I'm server, some nights I'm just
You cook?
in the kitchen. No.
Okay.
Well,
I don't.
But you said you're in the kitchen there sometimes. Are you helping to cook, or are you?
Yes.
Okay.
I kind of help plate things, but I tend to get intimidated by all the kitchen, everything
by the
going on.
pace.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so there's a shelf. Okay, and I am perfect height to stand right under it. So whenever I get overwhelmed, I just kind of stand under the shelf like this. And so my boss was like, "That's Chelsea's shelf. We can see you, right?" And I was like, "No, you can't." He was like, "Okay."
So it's my opinion that anybody who intends to work in a public-facing job of any sort, I don't care if you're a salesperson, if you're a bank teller, if you're a teacher, a minister, you need to spend a year of your life waiting tables. It will change your perspective on how to treat people, how to interact with people.
Right, and this wasn't my first job. My first job was at McDonald's. And now with Off the Square, I love working Off the Square. It's a great restaurant.
Yeah, I have to say, my family and I go there often, and it's always good food.
Horsey bites.
And
so
great
good.
service, too.
Yeah,
Yes.
their horsey bites are so good.
And, I mean, the bosses are great because they really work with you scheduling-wise. I mean, like, every single time I have had something come up and I have had to call in, I'm like, hey, it's an emergency, I can't. They're so understanding. And they really do a lot for the community.
Yes, they do.
As well. And, I think it's great. I have wonderful bosses, and
it's the Bobe family.
It is. Yep. So it's Cody Bobe, and then there's Becky Oakes, and then
which
Brady.
is Cody's mother-in-law.
Yes,
right?
and then
Brady
Schultz, and then Justin. What's his last name? Winkles?
Is he your boss?
Yeah.
Don't fire her, Justin.
I'm sorry.
She still likes you.
We've talked about this. We've talked about this where I was like, I didn't even know he was a boss. And he was like,
yes, I remember you telling me this. Yeah.
And they were like, you know who you're talking to right now? And I go, Justin? And they were like, yeah, he's your boss. And I go, oh, okay. You
Thanks
know,
for telling me.
Yeah. No, but my bosses are great, and I really mean that. Like, I'm not just saying that, but they really do work around.
So you're saying you would still say that if the camera wasn't rolling?
I would.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes. And but working at McDonald's first is so different from working at Off the Square.
Yeah.
I mean, the people are nicer at Off the Square. It is chaotic. We do get busy, but it's calmer in a sense of the team really works together, and we have just really good understanding. Everybody's accommodating.
Has anybody ever thrown their cheeseburger at you because you forgot to hold the ketchup at McDonald's?
No.
Okay.
But there is a but there. I have had change thrown at me because of this lady came in and her Happy Meal was, I think it was like 4 cents over what she had said. And okay, working at McDonald's, there are some people who come in, they'll order food and they're like, I can't pay for that fully. Understand. And I'm like, okay, I'll pay for the rest. Don't worry about it.
Wow,
and
that's nice.
So it's like 4 cents over. Normally I'd just be like, okay, I'll get it. Don't worry about it, you know? And she's yelling at me. She came in first and she was like, you know, I want this, 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 and this. But she was very abrasive about it. And she was like, and it's going to be $4.90 something and nothing over. And I go, okay. And so...
So she's naming her price.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I look at her and I go, oh, so it's actually $5 and this amount of cents. And she goes, no. And I repeated her order back to her and she was like, no, that's not right. And I was like, well, the computer says. And I said, well, you know, prices have gone up. And since she's yelling at me, I worked with my mom. And my mom was my manager. She comes over, she said, I'm sorry, she's new. I was not new. I had been working there.
Your mom threw you under the bus.
Well, no,
She
actually,
de-escalated.
yeah, no, it was actually good because usually if you're like, oh, she's new, the people will be, well, I'm talking to someone who's not new now.
Yeah.
And then my mom kind of catches a glimpse and she takes her order again. She said, okay, what would you like? Lady says it. She's at the end of her rope of patience. And my mom goes, okay, it's going to be $5 and this amount of cents. And I was like, sitting back there, I was like, no. And this lady goes, no, it's going to be this. And my mom said, well, it's, if you can't pay this price, we can't give you the Happy Meal. And she was like, we don't control the prices. And the lady pulls out her change. And my mom starts walking away. I'm standing at the register and she throws like the dimes or whatever at me. And I go, okay. I didn't know how to, like, that was my first job. I was 15. And so I'm just sitting there. I'm like, my hands are shaking. I'm like picking this up because I'm like trying not to cry.
It was not in Lawrenceville.
It was not in Lawrenceville.
No.
Okay.
And she goes, my mom's like, as she's handing this lady her food, she's like, I'll take it out. Because, I mean, this is my mom. And she goes, if you throw your change again at one of my employees, you will no longer be welcome here. Have a blessed day.
You see, that's the way that was an appropriate response from your mother. Exactly.
I had a circumstance where I was managing a fast food place, and I won't name the place, but it was in a nearby town, and had a young girl, slightly younger than what you are now, who worked for me, and a couple came in, and they inappropriately propositioned her, and you know. Obviously, my job as a manager was, you know, you have to thread a needle there. You have to make sure you take care of the public, but you also have to protect and defend your employees, especially your employees who are under the age. They're minors. So I went out and I went to the register. I refunded their order, took their money to them, took it to the table, and told them that they needed to leave the restaurant. And if they didn't leave post-haste, that I was going to call the police on them because this young lady was 16 years old, and what they did was a crime.
Yeah.
And they got up and left. So, yeah, being a fast food manager or a manager in any business can be very, very challenging. But especially when you have minors working for you, you have to protect them. And being the mother of that minor, that
I was the mama to every one of them.
Yeah, being
fast food though.
You never want to. People never, ever, ever activate mama bear mode with any mother.
Right.
It's not safe.
And being in fast food though it helped me get out of my shell a lot. Now I am not going to claim to be such a like out there person. I think I am social, but I tend to get awkward very easily. However,
A lot of, we all do to some degree.
but
Sure.
whenever I worked in fast food, especially, it helped me get out of my shell, talking to people, dealing with complications, dealing with criticism. I mean, I've had people yelling at me because it wasn't fast enough. And so I learned how to give the appropriate and respectful response to anybody who is saying anything to me. And another thing, though, is it did help me with empathy, too. Because, I mean, a lot of fast food restaurants, you do get a lot of, especially in, like, bigger cities, there are more impoverished people who will come in. And so, I mean, like, I've had families who've come in and they've got a bunch of kids with them and they're like $1 short. Even if they're like $5 short, I mean, the amount of times, I can't even explain the amount of times I have like helped cover, because I'm just like, I get it. I mean,
Sure.
I was like, hey, you guys have to eat. Like, if you don't have the money, I mean, which that reminds me, one time my dad and I, we went to Walmart and there was this lady in Walmart and she had her little boy, and she was offering like a family heirloom to everybody walking by. And she was like, I'll give you
For money.
Yep. And she was like, I'll give you this, like, if you just give me some money so I can get food for me and my son. My dad, and I'm so glad that it was us that were there and that ended up running into her and helping her, because my dad was like, no, like, he asked what it was first, and she's like, this is a ring, and it was passed down, and it was a really pretty ring. And he was like, no, keep it, we're gonna buy you your food. And so we ended up buying, and I mean, the food that she picked out was like a couple fresh vegetables, like something to make soup. So she picked out super cheap ingredients, like it was just like broccoli, carrots, celery, just things to make soup. And then she picked out some chicken, and we were like, don't even worry about prices. And then we ended up going to the toy section and we got the little boy, I mean, like, he looked like he was like 5 or 6, and we ended up getting him a little Hot Wheels car. And I think growing up with parents who are very empathetic towards people and don't just say, oh, the money, because it's super easy to just be like, here's money. But I think if you go out and buy, like, my mom has always told me that if there's someone homeless on the street, they're asking for money, one of the best things you can do is give them food, like that, because that's the one thing that a lot of people need, because money is like, you could spend that on anything. Food, you just eat food. I mean, and so I think growing up with empathetic parents like that who are willing to help with a lot of people's situations have definitely helped.
I have a slightly different perspective on that, and neither one's right or wrong. I was in Evansville one time, and I think it's on the corner of Washington and 41. There's a marathon, which with a McDonald's connected to it. And I stopped in there, and there was a guy outside asking every passerby for money so he can get himself, a sandwich from McDonald's. So I reached my pocket, gave him $10, because I hardly ever carry cash on me.
Right.
And that was the one bit of cash I had on me. I just used my debit card or credit cards for everything. It's like, here you go, man. And he got on his bicycle and took off. So clearly wasn't going to go to
the McDonald's on the other side of
He
town.
wasn't going into McDonald's to buy a sandwich, right?
Yeah.
And the guy that was with me was a guy who worked for me, and he said, he's probably going to go buy alcohol with that. And I was like, listen, man, he asked me for money for food. In my heart, I was giving him money for food, and Jesus is going to judge me on what was in my heart at that moment.
Right. You
not
can't
on
help
what he does.
Right.
So,
and I think also, though, it just goes from situation to situation, because if you you need to trust your gut, especially in a lot of things.
True.
My 2 uncles were homeless by choice. They loved to travel, and they decided just to become homeless, and they would panhandle for money, and yeah, they were alcoholics, but they used the money to at least buy themselves a hotel room so they could shower and get something warm to eat, and then they would of course buy their alcohol.
Yeah.
But when you find somebody who is, will work for food, that's my thing. If it says we'll work for food, I'm gonna give you food. That's the way it is. But if they're like, well, we need money. Okay, well, what's going on? Like, let me take you to the store and let's pick out things that you need, like blankets, shoes, socks, whatever you need. But if you're gonna say, well, I just want the money, well, that's not what's needed.
Right.
Sometimes that's just, it's a red flag.
And I've
Right.
I've heard stories of some of, and they call it panhandling, is where some of these panhandlers make fantastic income.
Then they walk around the corner to their car.
Well, like walk around the corner to their BMW and Mercedes
Yeah, but
and get in and drive home to the $250,000 home.
Right, and that's what's so hard about all of that, because it's really just, you don't know.
Yeah, but
Make a judgment call.
you give out of love, and what they do with the gift is on them.
Right,
So.
and
Did you hear about the lady that's on the other side of Lawrenceville who lives in the woods?
Out by Westport. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
So-
Yep.
one of the things that I remember whenever I was younger, I mean, like, my mom and I, we did a lot together. We still do a lot together. But I remember on Thursday evenings, or was it evening? I don't know. It was Thursdays, either Tuesdays or Thursdays. We would go, I think it was down to Robinson. We'd go to a soup kitchen. And that was so much fun to me because
Vincent's.
it was in Vincent's. Okay, my mom would she would help a lot with the kitchen, and I would help bring out soup and different foods. I mean, it's called a soup kitchen, but there's all kinds of food.
Sure.
And so I remember meeting so many kids, and I just played with them, had fun, because I was around the same ages. Like, I mean, I was younger. I was like 7 or 8 maybe, and I don't know. That's why I'm just very grateful that my parents are those kinds of people who are willing to help. And so now, I can't drive yet. I can drive in March, but that's one of the things I'm wanting to do once I can drive, just because, I do think it's great to help. And I just like to. Like, I just genuinely like to.
We have some mutual friends who are trying. They have tried, and Dwayne and I are going to advocate for them to help make this a reality. They're wanting to set up a soup kitchen type situation in Lawrenceville.
Really? I was looking for them.
Chet and Marlene. Yeah.
What? I did not know that.
We spoke to them last Saturday. We met. We went to a political event, and we met them there, and they explained that they're trying to do that. They've faced a little bit of opposition. We won't get into that, but we're going to try to advocate to help them get that going. So I think it's a wonderful thing, and you could definitely volunteer with them.
We actually we just went to lunch with Chet, and I was talking.
They're like my parents.
They're wonderful people.
They are.
Yeah,
amazing.
I've known them since. How old was I whenever we met them?
You were
3.
little, because
I was 3.
we all went to church together.
Yeah, so we go over there all the time, and so Chet knew obviously that I was coming here today, and he said, "You better not mention my name." So I told him I'd look at the camera.
Don't mention Chet
and
on
I'd say,
camera.
"This is for you, Chet," and that's what I said, and so I had to do it. But
Absolutely.
no, they're wonderful people,
They
and
really
they
are.
do so much for us, and I'm just so grateful to have them, because my grandparents on my dad's side live 3 hours away, and then my grandmother on my mom's side has passed, but it's my papa, and he is 5 hours away, and so
You have a grandmother that lives.
and my grandmother,
Yeah.
she lives down here, but we don't. I'm not super close with her, and so
That's fine. We don't have to get into that.
But the two,
Thanks.
but the two that are like really big parts of my life, they're all so they're just far away, and so to have Marlene and Chet is, as grandparents basically, is really nice to have, and I'm so thankful for them.
Yep.
It's Mama Mar and Papa Joe.
Yeah, they're good people,
Yes.
and he was a Marine,
Yes.
as I recall. So, but it's funny. I have a lot of friends who are Marines. He's probably one of the nicest ones, because until I met him, and I haven't looked that deep into his eyes, but I don't think I've ever met a Marine that you can't look into their eyes and see space behind their eyes that's like where a darkness hides, because they're some mean individuals.
Chet's
but he's
so
got a kindness about him.
Trained to be mean in
trained to be
situations.
mean. Yes, yeah. They're not bad people in the Corps. I'm saying that they are trained to do some.
If you upset him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Get that Marine going, but.
Oh yeah. Well.
He's very sarcastic, but he's very sweet.
Yeah,
He lives by his calling.
I have a former coworker that he was in the Marine Corps Reserves, and he sold cars with me, and it was so funny. I was teasing him the first day he started work, and I was like, "Oh, a Marine? Okay, well I'll hide my crayons," because the old joke is that Marines like to eat crayons, right? And he goes, "Oh, I like the blueberry ones." So I threw a blue crayon at him, and he ate it. So anyway,
that's committing to the bit.
A few weeks later, I knew he had his weekend duty with the Marine Reserves, and we were in our conference room break room, and just trying to tease him, because he's just a super overflowing nice guy, right? Kind of like Chet, real nice guy. And then I was like, "Oh yeah, so any plans for the weekend?" "Oh, that's right, you're gonna go play soldier this weekend." I'm just trying to goad him, right? And he looks at me, and I'm not going to use the expletives that he used, but he says, and he growled at me, he goes, "I'm not a soldier." And there was a word in the middle there that he included, and I go, "There it is. That's that Marine I was looking for. I knew it was hiding in there somewhere."
Purposefully rage baiting.
So about 2 years later, he had separated from the Marine Corps, and he decided for benefits he was going to enlist in the Indiana National Guard. So he went and he swore in, and with the Indiana National Guard, he came back into the dealership the next day, and I was like, "So you signed your papers and swore in?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, "So you know what that means, right?" He goes, "What's that?" I go, "You're a soldier now." So I won that one.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, I can imagine. My dad was a Marine. One of my favorite uncles is a Marine. I say was a Marine. My dad has passed on, so there is no such thing as a former Marine.
Marines,
Marine, and they say Marines never die. They just change duty stations. So they go from guarding one thing to guarding another. So.
Well, and that's how Chet is.
Yeah.
He's a protector.
Yes, he is.
And he protects what's his.
Yeah.
And he brings up these young men with football and track and things like that, and it just, the love that he has just overflows for others.
Yeah, he ministers to them in football even.
Yeah,
what I understand.
He coaches at the Lawrenceville High School, the football team. So I would really like to have him on sometime. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's your invitation, Chet. We got a seat right here for you. As soon as she's warming it up for you, it's all yours, brother.
Come on and talk about the soup kitchen.
Yeah, soup kitchen and the football program and all that.
Yeah.
So
anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, man, this has been a great conversation.
Right now.
This has been a really great conversation. You're a really dynamic young lady. You can absolutely do anything you want. I'm so glad that you've decided that you got your heart set on guiding our future with our children as a teacher. Is there any specific age group that you want to teach?
Well, okay. I like the thought of teaching 4th grade, second, third, fourth, or fifth, because it's very in the books. It's very, well, I guess in the computers or books. I don't know. It's very, it's school learning more than play learning. However, I'm not someone who's going to be like, you have to give me this age group. Like, I won't take anything else. So if they're like, oh, hey, we need a kindergarten teacher, we need a pre-K. Pre-K teacher, I'm kind of, I love the pre-Kers. Like, I, at my church during VBS, which is Vacation Bible School, I've helped with the pre-Kers. Great. They're so much fun, but it's more play learning rather than actual sitting in.
You want to see results right there.
Right. You get into the academics.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so,
it's the sweet spot of education.
Right. And so, But if they were like, hey, we need a teacher for this grade, sure. And the only reason why I don't want to go into middle school or high school is I genuinely cannot pick a subject. I don't, because if you're a middle school or high school teacher, you go through your college, and then you also have to do a secondary with what subject you're going to do. And I'm like, I don't want to pick a subject. I want to do them all.
I would want to do history if I was going to do one.
Oh, I would do it.
I love history. You know what I love about history? Is back whenever I was in school, they taught that Columbus came over in 1492. They still teach that now?
Yep.
Because that fact hasn't changed, so it's really easy to learn.
Right. It's very fact based. I mean, it's like math. I really like science, specifically biology, but I really love English. I mean, like all of it. The poetry side of it, the grammar side, just all of it.
The diagramming of sentences.
It's just all of it.
As a smart guy, very high IQ, but English grammar eluded me until high school. And then I took Latin. And whenever I started studying Latin, and thank you, now Miss Adams, she had a different last name when she was my teacher. And she was my Latin teacher for 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year of high school. And taking her Latin course, suddenly grammar clicked, and I got A's in grammar.
So maybe
as a result.
You are just going to the root of the word where it first started.
Yeah.
My thing is,
he's going to the history of the word.
The history. That's what it was. It was history. Yes.
Yeah, I love all of English and writing just because it's a broad perspective. I mean, a lot of English, there's no right wrong answer, especially with poetry. Like I love poetry, but there's no right, wrong answer. Like, I mean, with math, it's like, this is your right answer, this is your wrong answer. But then with English, it's like, hey, you can have so many different topics. And I love that. Teaching English, no. I don't think I would be able to. I mean, there's some subjects that I'm like, I love subjects, these subjects specifically, but teaching them, I don't think I would do well teaching them. Especially, like, more advanced, like, high school English. Now, elementary English, it's easy. It's just like your basic phonics and... It's
got to be so difficult these days, especially like in the composition classes, because the prevalence of modern technology with AI. I am a fan of AI, but I can see that it needs guardrails.
Right.
AI is so powerful that... So teachers can run a document through a detector to find out if it's been written by AI, right? But there are AI-developed tools to de-AIify documents to make it look like it was written by a human. It's got to be so difficult.
My take on AI, I'm not a fan of AI. You know, I understand, like, I've seen the side things of AI. Are they cool? Yeah, they're cool. Like, I've seen Facebook Reels, and some of them are funny, some of them... But I do agree that AI needs to have a guardrail. But I've also seen a lot of the effects that the databases have on, like, surrounding. And I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but the Facebook Meta AI, where the database is located, there's houses around that database, and they actually were on the news because it's their water pressure is just terrible, and their water comes out brown, it comes out murky because the Meta AI, and they're trying to figure out a better solution because right now they're using water to cool off these databases. Yeah. And
the data centers.
Right.
Data centers.
Right, and so
which they're going to build them in space.
But
because space is cooled.
Well, they could build them underwater.
So if they find a better solution that wouldn't, be harming Earth and people's homes, I think maybe then I'd be like, okay, I see that it's not terrible, but...
Do you know where that solution's probably going to come from?
Where?
And this is so... gosh, I can't even think of the word now. It's probably going to come from AI.
Yeah.
AI will probably develop or a guide, the solution for how to build a data center that doesn't utilize or ruin public water supply, and doesn't harm power consumption. And I believe, my personal belief is, AI is a tool. It's like a screwdriver. I can use a screwdriver to put up your window blinds. I can use a screwdriver to stab you in the stomach. And both of those are uses for that screwdriver. One of them is a good use, the other one is a pretty ugly use.
Right. But my point of view for AI in school systems, I don't think it should be used, because I think education and wisdom is one of the most powerful tools you can have in this day and age. And I think when you use AI to write essays, you use AI to solve problems, you are taking away, you're not learning anything. And I think that's also a really big thing in school systems, because there's a difference between learning to ace a test and learning to know what you're doing. And
learning to learn.
Right.
I'm going to show you something that, and I don't know if you realize that this can do this, but
while you're looking that up, I just want to mention this about homeschooling. I think there are a lot of people out there that think that
absolutely.
To be homeschooled,
what would you like to share or ask about?
To be homeschooled, your parents have to be there all the time. They have to essentially be your teacher. And from what you were saying earlier, if a parent has a self-disciplined child, self-motivated, they can do it on their own.
Right, yes.
To a large degree,
yes.
correct? Okay.
And that's why I definitely want to stress homeschooling is not for everybody.
Homeschool is self-taught.
Right. And so, some kids,
for the most part,
if your kid is struggling to turn in things or struggling in school just because they don't want to do it, then homeschooling's probably not for them. But
unless you as the parent are going to be there, like a teacher,
now,
all the time.
Well, even when I was there, my oldest son had a hard time just being motivated to do it.
Right.
So the child has to be motivated in either case.
They have to.
So does the parent.
Whether the parent, correct, but whether the parent is acting as a teacher full time or just checking in on the child still has to be.
I think that has
motivated.
to be the case even in public school, because I shared with you, I have a very high IQ. Okay, and again, not to pat myself on the back, but it's to demonstrate that this is the case in public school as well. I went to public school. I graduated with a C average. I actually barely graduated because I was so unmotivated in school.
That was me.
And, if I had been motivated, I would have graduated at the top of my class.
Right.
I would have gone on to study medicine, and I would have done all these great things. But I was so unmotivated as a youth.
And I see a lot of students. Myself, I haven't been to high school. However, middle school, and I'm sure it just gets worse in the high school. But I've seen so many people who are just extraordinarily smart, and it's wow. And you ask them how they did in school, and they're like, I did terrible. And I think part of that is, I feel like in school it's a lot of giving the teacher the answer that they want to hear.
Yeah.
And also, though, I think the burnout is real. I really think that it's a lot of workload, and to be in school all day and then have enormous loads of homework, and then you have deadline. It's a lot of stress, and I think stressing about it so much leads to burnout. And I think that's why a lot of students are I didn't do great in school because I just didn't want to put in the effort. But I'm smart.
See, kind of case in point to go along with what you guys are saying. I think both of you all are much more motivated than I am, but you just gave your perspective that, for example, that you didn't do great in school. I graduated near the top of my class, but I think I'm much lazier than both of you.
You were motivated.
I'm a lot less motivated.
You were more motivated than I was.
Well, but I was motivated just to get the good grade and do what I needed to do.
Right, and that's the difference.
You're doing things to learn, as a way to progress in life, and I was just doing what I needed to do.
I want to show you
something.
I want to show you something. A little demonstration about how AI can be used in school. Okay, I 100% agree. It should not be used by children to write their essays. because that's cheating. Okay, but check this out. First of all, I want you to name a language that is an uncommon language for people in America to learn. Just any language.
Uncommon for people to Russian, maybe?
Russian, okay. If I wanted you to teach me to speak Russian, could you do it?
I sure could. If you like, I can start with the basics and we can build from there. Just say the word.
Yes, please begin.
All right, let's dive in. We'll start with a simple greeting. Hello in Russian is здравствуйте, здравствуйте, formal and polite. And for something casual, you can say привет, привет. Give those a try.
Здравствуйте, привет.
Perfect. You've got 'em. Now we're on our way. Just let me know when you're ready for the next step.
Take me to the next step.
Let's do it. Next, let's learn how to introduce yourself. You can say меня зовут, and then your name. So for you, меня зовут Louie, меня зовут Louie. Give that a try.
Меня зовут Louie.
Great job, Louie. You sound clear and confident. Now you can introduce yourself in Russian. Ready to learn more whenever you are.
Привет. Меня зовут Louie.
Отлично. Ты уже можешь здороваться и представляться. Это замечательно.
So, Louie, did you already know Russian?
I knew привет.
Okay.
Привет,
So-
когда.
That was good.
That
was
is
great.
that is cool,
Yeah.
but would that technically okay, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. So someone could have the credentials to teach Russian as well. Like it can be done by a person, and
It could replace that person.
Right,
Yes,
and
yes.
I think one problem with AI that I see is it does potentially take away jobs from someone who could have that credential. And with schooling, it is cool, but I think it also really takes away from the whole interaction. Like I'm very big on face-to-face interaction, and
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
it was hard homeschooling
And
because it's a computer.
Some people absolutely learn better with that interaction.
Right.
Some people learn better this way.
Right.
And I think it expands the horizons of education.
Right.
And the people that it does replace, I think a lot of jobs are going to be replaced by AI. And those people are going to find how many people do you know that run livery stables? A livery stable, you know what that is?
No.
Okay, a livery stable is where when you come to a town, you would either house your horse while you stayed in the hotel, and they would take care of your horse, or you could rent a horse whenever you traveled to a new town. And it was basically a stable where they would rent out horses. Okay. We don't have those anymore because the technology has come along. We now have horseless carriages. We know them as automobiles. So gasoline stations, are probably going to go, the way of the dodo bird at some point as well, because I think that electric vehicles, they're not there yet, but I think they're going to be more mainstream. What if we develop a battery system? There is a battery technology where they irradiate a diamond and encase it in a material, and that battery has a potential 35,000 year lifespan. What if they can scale that up to power a vehicle? Now you have a vehicle that never needs to recharge.
Right.
Never needs to
Right.
recharge. So why do we need gas stations? We just need convenience stores so we can stop to use the bathroom, get a drink, and go on the road.
Right.
So-
And I think a lot of AI and those types of things are more about convenience and what's easier. But I mean,
If it's misused, absolutely.
right.
yeah.
I mean, but like with the AI topic, with AI replacing some jobs, it's like, oh, okay, well, it is easier, but it's still taking a person away from a job. And then with the arts, I mean, like I see so much, and it's AI paintings, it's AI music, and that is where I'm just kind of like, I don't really like that, because there's so many artists that, I mean, like art's subjective, and so many artists already don't get taken seriously as a profession, and so to have someone say, well, AI makes art more accessible, well, it makes it more easy, like
It does,
it's easier, but there are real artists out there who are putting time and effort and, you know, a lot of work into their songs, a lot of work into their paintings, just for it to be upscaled by an AI simply because...
I can see
right.
that.
And mass produced.
Right, and it's like,
that,
what a computer can do, I agree. A computer can do so much more than what a lot of people can do. Should it, though?
Some of the
It's away from humanity.
Some of the benefits of AI that I see is like in medicine, for example. Do you know that they have used AI to read mammograms and have found tumors that human eyes would have completely missed. And so they were able to detect cancer, breast cancer in women a year or more in advance, and save a life. You know,
and those are like the hard cases where it's like, okay, yeah, AI was used really well for that. I just wish that, you know, AI was used for a lot of things like that.
Yes.
But right now it's being more used for the arts and the
I see that. The cheater.
Right. And
the lazy person.
Right, and that's why I'm like, I don't mean to be harsh, but I feel like AI, whenever it does a lot of things, it makes people lazy because it's like, well, you know, I can just sit back and let the computer do it for me, and it's like, no.
Yeah, like, well, I used AI. I've put out a couple of books on Amazon. And self-published a couple of books. One of them was on door-to-door sales because I did door-to-door sales with selling Kirby's. And I compiled a lot of information and I directed the AI and I put out a book. You know? And I put out another book on branding yourself as a car salesman because I've spent the last several years creating my own brand in car sales, and I took all the education that I gained doing that and I put together a book on that, Driven Success, and it was AI edited, but it was not AI generated.
Right, so you wrote it, but you proofread it with AI?
I provided all of the information to AI and had it provide the breakdown, and so I knew the information, and could I have taken the time to write the book and do it myself without the AI? I absolutely could have. I have the capability, but I also work full time, and in my spare time, as I'm very busy, I work 7 days a week. I work 5 days a week at the dealership. I run my printing business and graphics business, you know, and then I manage the Lawrence County Alumni News page and publish news on there, and I use AI to help with that a lot. And I'm also very civically engaged with our local community and local politics, and you know, to achieve certain goals here locally. And I don't think I would have ever found the time to write that book under my own steam, other than to compile all of the information and say, here's the information I want in this chapter, and put this chapter together for me in a easily digestible format. And then I read it, and then I gave criticism about it until it was the way I wanted it to be. So you're
usually kind of like an editor.
Yeah, you know, like a ghostwriter, you know, which a lot of people have ghostwriters. You know, our current president has a book, The Art of the Deal, which I read. He didn't write it. He had a ghostwriter. He told his story, and that ghostwriter wrote the book.
And that's what I mean by AI and those things. They do make it easier, but it also already exists. I mean, there's also people who edit and ghostwrite for people.
Well, I've made less than $100 off the publishing of my books. And I couldn't have paid a ghostwriter to do that for a share of that $00.
Right, and that's what I mean by it does make it easier, especially like with costs and things like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I have my mind set on AI. It can be used for good. It can be used for bad. Just as everything. Like, it has its pros, it has its cons.
It's a tool.
Just as everything does.
Yep.
But
I absolutely see your point on the creative arts, like music. That's terrible that it takes away from actual creative artists. I understand that a recent AI generated thing hit the top of the charts.
Yeah, songs.
And that's I mean, it's cool.
Isn't there an AI generated group?
I mean, I think I have a
male
different
group?
perspective on it is, you know, you put your priorities, you make your priorities a priority.
Right.
You'll accomplish what you do. I can sit there and say I was a very busy person too. I worked a full-time job, had 4 children, and still ended up homeschooling my children full-time. You put what's important to you as a priority. I never once used AI. I use my phone, but I don't ever use AI, you know, as for anything, because I am a firm believer in I'd rather write my own stuff. I'd rather free think my own stuff instead of having a computer generate. And I'm not downplaying what you've done, because you've done.
It's just a different perspective. Yeah.
It's a different perspective on things.
And I think
that history. I'm very big on keeping things not the way they were, but to keep it alive.
So to me, it's like the difference between the guy who installs a roof on your house.
Yeah.
One guy's swinging a hammer, the other guy's with his pneumatic nail gun.
And I would prefer the manual labor. That's the way I see
And it still gets done at the end of the day, but it is all about perspective of what would you rather do.
If I was running a roofing business, I would want the pneumatic nail gun because my guys could put on 3 roofs in a day.
Right.
But at the same time, if you look at things, you look at, you know, our electricians, you look at our plumbers, you look at all of the so-called ways that it used to be, and it's slowly dying out. Those trades are dying out, and nobody's really trying to take them over.
I don't know if they're dying out. I think that they're finding better ways to do things. So
well, plus schools took out trades years ago, and that's
for example,
that was a bad thing.
We have in our city, and a lot of cities the age of Lawrenceville, we have like sewer lines that are made of pipes that were basically layers of paper and wax. And
like
those collapse over time, and that was a very labor-intensive way of doing it. But they found better ways with technology to make better things. Yeah,
I think
so.
I just don't like taking away from things that would better. Knowing how to do something the old way is still good.
And
there's still good things that come out of that knowledge of doing things a certain way.
I agree with that and disagree, because there are the better things being more efficient. It frees up a person to do more. And for example, I've used AI as a tool, so I've been able to be very involved politically, locally, to put out this podcast, to manage a news page that is highly engaged locally, and still manage to work full time and take care of my child and be involved in my family and stuff as well.
And I guess that's just
it's allowed me to be like 5 people in one.
Right. And I guess that's all about perspectives. Right. Like for me, I would rather do 1 or 2 things, but have people know that I did it myself. I put my heart into that. I put my time, I put my effort into it, rather than do, it's like quality over quantity. And so
that's good too.
And so that's just my opinion on that. But like the music thing, what stumps me is that technically a lot of AI things that you see online is a person that's put it into AI and said, hey, AI, generate this for me. So there's a person coming up with that, but using AI as a tool to make it. But then it's kind of like, well, that's, the easy way out, especially with making music, per se.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
I think in the arts...
Right,
I can definitely see that, because, it does take the creative...
Right. Yeah. And what I see,
there's no emotion in
in my opinion on
it's like putting paper to pen. Pen to paper. There's a smell. There's a sense. There's just something about writing on a piece of paper than typing.
For some people, if I was ever to write a book using pen and paper, it would never get published because I couldn't read it after I wrote it.
My thing with the music is, I think music is such a big part of people's lives.
Yeah,
and music changes lives in ways that other things can't. And I think there are so many people, you ask someone what their favorite song is, they'll give you numerous reasons. I like the beat, it's a cool melody, but then there's also people who will say, I played this song through my hard times, or this song reminds me of a good time, or the way that this person sings this. I mean, there's songs that I'll listen to, and I'm like, wow, that moved me, just because of how the story that's being told, because music, a lot of songs tell a story, especially country music. And it's like, you're like, oh, well, this moved me because I could tell that they were telling a story. I could feel the emotion, like if it's a sad song, you can feel that the creator's sad. AI, if you guys have listened to an AI song, there is no emotion. Sometimes the words don't even make sense, and it's like, I don't feel anything. I mean, it's just like, it's like convenience store music, like where they just play it in the background.
Yeah, like, some of the singers of the past, maybe they didn't have all the polish, they didn't have the auto-tune, they haven't all the stuff that they have these days, but man, you really did feel it.
Right.
Nobody sings like Roy Orbison, for example. Do you know who Roy Orbison is?
Is he...
Pretty Woman.
Yeah.
Drove All Night.
Well, and
singer.
you mentioned country music. Just want to give a shout out to our local country star, Adam Warner.
Oh yeah,
Everybody's heard of
He's
Adam.
a great singer, man.
Yeah, he is.
I remember him as a teenager, and
he's done a lot for the town by coming back and doing his concerts.
Yeah, he's also a Marine.
Really?
Yeah, Adam Warner is a Marine. He has a great song. Semper Fi is the name of the song. Wow.
I didn't even know who he was until he was coming back, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" And they were like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, okay," but no, my thing with the jobs, I think it's how do you word this? If you're taking away more jobs, then obviously that's going to raise the unemployment rates.
Correct. Yeah.
In America.
Right,
Yeah.
and it does create certain higher level jobs,
Right.
to some degree,
Right.
programmers and
So,
stuff like that. But you're right, it does take away. It takes away more than it.
Currently,
I think
Currently
if-
it takes away more than it
Right, and I
provides,
think if AI came up with a job that was, then we could figure out a way for people to do that, and then you could turn that into a job for people. That would be kind of a loophole, but to just say AI is replacing the job as a whole, then it's like, ooh, that's a bit of a problem there in a lot of jobs. I mean, like...
I think it's going to augment a lot of jobs, make jobs easier.
Right.
Make it so... I mean, like, I get paid to do graphic design, and I can see that is going to be going away.
Right.
As soon as AI can start generating a little bit better graphics than it does, and in a print-ready format.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to be able to charge as much for some of the stuff that I do, or
Right.
You know,
and that's
or
what
at all.
I mean by, like, going back to the arts thing, especially painters and artists, not music-wise, but just, painters. It's hard for a lot of painters to sell their art in the first place, because now it's like, I mean, a lot of people don't just buy paintings.
Yeah.
But to have AI and someone say, oh, I'm selling this and it's AI generated and it's for $40. Okay, well, now this guy over here's got to, raise his price, because he's like, this is handmade. It took me time. And if you look at a lot, like, I go to Vendors Village, and the booths, they have you guys ever been to Vendors Village?
That's just right outside of town, isn't it?
It's in Terre Haute.
Oh, it's in Terre Haute. Okay.
No, I thought you were talking about the one out.
Oh, no. So they have booths, and now these people, like, there's painters, there's drawers, there's just people selling things, there's crocheters, there's a lot of different things. And one cool thing was you can go up and you can buy their things. It's like a giant thrift store. It's kind of like a flea market more than it is just a thrift store.
Yeah.
But there's an art section in one of the guys' things. If you go and you see someone's art that they've put out and they're selling it, it's usually expensive. I mean, like, it's not gonna be $20 usually.
Sure,
if it's an oil painting, it's probably gonna be like $100, because that took them time and effort. And like, my dad is an artist, and he he was a tattoo artist, and he would charge, it was expensive. And then the paintings, he sold one painting for $200. It was a huge painting. It's oil painting. It took him like 2 or 3 weeks to get it done. And
$200 is cheap for that.
Yeah. And so with AI makes it cheaper and more accessible to get art, but
you don't have the same tactile feel to it. So like an oil painting, you get close to an oil painting, you can see it, and you don't want to touch it, but
and you can see the layers.
You can feel it, you can see it. Yeah. So to me, I would spend the money on that oil painting versus, because an AI, it's going to be printed on something, and I wouldn't spend the money on that. So.
Right, and unfortunately, a lot of people don't think like that. They just think, oh, well, this is cooler. Like, I mean, that's how a lot of people do think. Like, oh, would I rather this, beautiful landscape, or would I rather this cat who has a hat on and he's taking a picture? And it's like, oh, well, the cat's, it's cuter, it's cool. Yeah. But I think the people who really appreciate art are going to choose the more...
Well, they're going to choose the artist.
Of course.
Yeah. What I think is interesting about this whole conversation on AI, I don't get into AI much at all. I don't have any AI programs. I have friends that use it and help me and use it for me as well.
He said this isn't targeted all that.
But no, and the point I'm making is, it's great that we can have this conversation about it and get different viewpoints.
Right.
But what I think we can all agree on is there is a point where it can be bad for everyone.
Of course, yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, the future of AI is both exciting and scary.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
What if it becomes what's the company that created the Terminator?
I think fresh perspectives are really important, because in my opinion, if you don't have different perspectives, then how can you really be sure on what you're standing, like your viewpoint? Like, I know this because this, and this, and the facts, and then these people have tried to tell me this, but I'm still standing strong on this. And so then it's like, if you don't have fresh perspectives, then it's like, oh yeah, I don't really know.
That's the process of learning in general.
Right.
Absolutely.
If you think you know it all, talk to someone else who knows it all.
Absolutely.
And you're both going to learn. You're both going to learn something from one another.
I have someone, and I'm not going to name this person because I don't want to publicly embarrass anyone, but I have someone close to me.
Like physically right now?
No.
Okay.
In someone in my circle who has told me that they no longer have a Christian faith. They claim to be an atheist now. And my challenge to this person was, okay, well, to support you in this, if you're going to be a doctor, I want you to be the best doctor in the world. But if you're going to be an atheist, I want you to be the best atheist in the world. And the best way to do that is to come to a point where you can challenge the other perspective. Learn everything you can about Christianity. Learn everything about it. There's a guy by the name of Wesley Huff. Watch Wesley Huff. Watch these guys who are very, very educated and learn how to overcome their arguments.
Right, and that's why
I challenged this person because I think what it'll do, I think it will challenge them and it will change them. The guy who wrote a book called A Case for Christ, Lee Strobel. Good movie, but there was a documentary about that long before the movie came out by the same name called A Case for Christ, and it was based on a book that Lee Strobel wrote. Lee Strobel was a investigative journalist for a Chicago newspaper. He was an atheist, if you can consider an atheist, a devout atheist. He was that, and his wife started attending a church, and he was like, well, whatever, it's something she can do, so I can, He didn't exactly agree with it, but it didn't bother him until she started giving their money to the church, and he's like, whoa, full stop, put on the brakes, this can't happen. We're not giving our money to this cult. That's his thought. So he decided that he's going to use all of his investigative journalist skills, and he had studied law, so he knows a lot about proving an argument, arguing something to prove it, as a lawyer would. And he decided to go into a multi-year investigation to prove the story of Jesus wrong. And as what happens with people who do a deep dive into the religion, into the ancient text and everything, what he ended up doing was proving to himself that the story was true. Right. And he's one of the most popular Christian apologists that exists these days. He's a popular minister. He's been on multiple podcasts, written multiple best-selling books, And that's what I think will happen to this person if they do a deep dive.
And that's why I think, having a strong foundation is so, so important. I mean, like, you don't want to say, I'm Christian, and then someone say, well, why are you Christian? Oh, well, just because, like, my parents were Christian, so I'm Christian. Or they argue with you about things, or why don't you do this as a Christian? Oh, because God says. Like, they're gonna look at you like, what do you mean? Especially if someone who doesn't know who God is. They're gonna be like, okay, so what you're telling me is, from a logical standpoint and a worldly standpoint, you're telling me that your God tells you to do something and you just do it. And now, do I do what God tells me to do? Absolutely. But I think that there's also so many scriptures you can pull up to back up evidence and back right. And so I think it's really important, and I've always been a why person. Like, why do you have me doing this? Why am I doing that? And it's so I think whenever you're talking to someone who's a non-believer, it is so important to have a foundation and know what you're talking about. Because, I mean, there's been so many times where I've been asked, like, oh, well, if, God is real, why do bad things happen? Or, if God is real, why is this? And why is this? And if you don't know, and if you're like, ooh, well, I don't have a good answer for that one. I actually don't know. And there are some things I've been stumped by questions.
Oh, yeah.
I'm only 17, I obviously don't know it all.
Yep.
But there have been questions I've been stumped by, and I'm like, I really do apologize. Like, I don't know the answer to that, but I can study more on it. I can get back with you, or you can look in this direction and find that out too. And so that's why I think it's really important.
I think we're supposed to wrestle. I mean, we're supposed to wrestle with God, and ask why and that, because if we ask with an open heart and open mind, it'll just strengthen our faith. Like Jacob wrestled with God, and that's what we're supposed to do. We talk about podcasts. We were talking about Joe Rogan before we started recording. Joe Rogan was a famous atheist.
Yes.
And I would cringe watching his podcast because the things he would say about the Sky Daddy and Christians and stuff. And he had Wesley Huff on his podcast. And after that episode with Wesley Huff, Joe Rogan, as I understand it, started attending church. And he attends church now because someone who came on with facts. Like, you believe in Julius Caesar. Why? Because there's documented evidence. Well, there's more documented evidence of Jesus Christ. And
I think that's one thing about, like, Christianity that I've spread a lot is, in a sense that there's, the two types of Christianity that's like, you have your people who are very set in their ways. And it's kind of the Old Testament, I've got my hymns, it's just very set in my ways. And then there's the newer Christians that are like, well, they've got a more contemporary, it's more of loving people. And I think that is so important to, because you see a lot of Christians, and I've seen so much of this online, where people have an understanding that they can't go to a Christian because Christians are judgmental. And they're so close-minded, and they're just going to hate me, and they're going to condemn me. And unfortunately, that does happen, and that's not how it should be.
Of course.
And I think that, as Christians, we should get out of the closed-minded box, obviously, but I've also seen a lot of things of, people tend to stay inside their church. And it's like, well, I don't want to go talk to this person because they're atheists. And it's like, well, why not? Are you, like, worried about the challenge? Or because if you're not reaching the people who are unreached, then the unreached aren't gonna come to church. Like, there's, you know what I mean?
The doctor doesn't go to heal the healthy.
Right. And, like, a church is not meant for people who are perfect. And I stress that so much to a lot of people that I'll talk to who are unbelievers. I'm like, you don't have to be saved to come to church.
No.
And I'm like, I need you to understand that whoever has told you that is wrong, and because that's not what Jesus says.
It's like taking a bath before you get in the shower.
Right, and it's like...
Well, it's not about the church, it's about the relationship.
Right,
yeah.
And so that's why, people have told me, like, well, I don't go to church because of the people. Okay, yeah, but honestly...
Zig Ziglar, a famous sales coach one time said that if a hypocrite is standing between you and God, doesn't that mean that the hypocrite's standing just a little bit closer to Him than you are? What I said was like,
I told someone, I don't even remember who it was, but I had said one time, I said, if I went to church for the people, I'd probably be atheist. Because in the sense that people are always going to do wrong.
Yeah.
They're always going to fail. You cannot put your trust in the people of the church.
No.
Do I look up to people in the church?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
However, I don't put my full faith and trust in them because it's like, you know that they're going to fall short. And so the one that you can put your full faith and trust in is God. Mm-hmm. And
if you put your full faith and trust in the people, that's no different than putting your full faith and trust in yourself, and that's humanism.
Right. And so, thankfully, I'm blessed enough to have youth leaders and pastors that are very open-minded and loving. But unfortunately, there are still so many churches out there that the preachers will tell people, you can't come to my church. And it's like, and that's so sad to see because, that is what is damaging, the Christian, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reputation.
Right, reputation.
Yeah.
And I know that we're not supposed to, care how the world sees us because the world is not going to agree with Christian beliefs.
Jesus
it's just
said
obvious.
He didn't come to bring us all together. He came to divide us,
Right.
But He also commanded His disciples to go forth and make disciples of all nations. And the important part of that is to go forth. So
Right.
He went into a den of sin to recruit Matthew, into his fold as a disciple.
Right.
And we need to follow that. To be Christian means to be Christ-like. And what did Christ do? He went into a den of sin and recruited one of them out to become a disciple.
And I just think that I'm frustrated about how there's so many closed-minded Christians and they're like, I don't want to talk to you because you're different, or there's this, and I don't agree with your standpoint. And it's like, well, you don't have to agree with somebody to love them because Jesus still loved sinners. And it's like I've told people before, I'm like, hey, I love you as a person. I really do. But what you're doing, I don't agree with. In my religion, in my viewpoints, I don't agree with what you're doing. So I don't support that. However, I still love you as a person, and I still support you as a person, as an individual.
Absolutely.
And so I think, I just think it's so tough to see because, I think a lot of Christians do get hate, but I also think that part of the problem is the Christians that are, being close-minded and saying, being hateful. It's just hate.
Well,
and so it's...
By the very definition of Christian, they're not, because they're not being Christ-like.
Right.
The central theme of my faith, and we're going to close this, we've been talking about a little over 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
And I knew this conversation would go a long time because you're a very interesting person. But the central theme of my faith is when Jesus told His disciples to love one another and to love one another the way I have loved you, and that's how others will know that you're my follower.
Right.
And that's it, man. I love people. I love people that hate me.
Right.
Now, are some people easier to love than others? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think that you have to necessarily be best friends with someone.
No, and you don't even have to like them.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're still called to love other people, and
by
that's
loving them doesn't mean that I agree with everything they do. It just, to me, it means I hope I see that person in heaven.
Right.
I don't want to be around that person, but I hope I see that person in heaven. That person who hates me and wishes horrible things upon me, I hope I see them in heaven.
And actually, it does say in the Bible, in Proverbs, that if you're not calling somebody out, it's not love. If you're not, in the sense that if you are letting them do that sin and you're just being like, oh, like your friends, if you're like, okay, well, they're doing something that's harming them, and I love them, but I'm not gonna stop them. I'm not gonna tell them it's wrong.
Absolutely.
That is, and it says that. It does say, that's not love.
Absolutely. Accountability is a major ingredient in love. What I say is, if I saw a bus barreling down the road at you, how much do I have to hate you to stand by and let it run you over?
Right.
tackling you out of the way, you might get some broken bones. I'm a big guy and you're a little girl. If I tackled you out of the way, you're going to get hurt.
Right.
Okay? I may get hurt in the tussle as well, right? Because it's, tackling you is a violent thing. But gosh dang, that's way better than seeing you get run over by a bus.
Right.
And to me, that's what's happening is sin and hell is that bus that's barreling down the highway at individuals. And if you don't tackle them out of the way, and sometimes tackling them out of the way is saying things to them that may upset them, may hurt their feelings a little bit. But if at the end you knock them out of the way of that bus, isn't that a positive thing? So anyway, let's wrap this up. It's been a really interesting conversation. Thank you so much for coming on, Chelcie. You are a dynamic young lady.
Thank you.
You're going to do wonderful things in this world. So you're planting some seeds. So keep doing what you're doing, because the moment you think it doesn't matter, you might be witnessing to the person who changes tens of thousands of lives. And I'm telling you that from personal experience. That you might be witnessing to the one person who changes tens of thousands of lives.
Right.
And you won't find out for years later that happens. So just keep doing what you're doing. And so with that, I want to thank everybody for watching the podcast. Make sure you like the video, share it on social media, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we will see you in a future episode of The Local Lens, Lawrenceville Unfiltered. Until then, peace out, everybody. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, thanks for accepting his invitation. Obviously, first time I'd met you, and everything he said was spot on.